What's availability look like for Saturday? Players maybe not quite there yet, or where things stand?
Yeah, we're still kind of in a similar position with a lot of the guys that have been out since the beginning. So Connor Antley is again another few weeks away. Jackson Hopkins, Hakeem Karamoko, those guys are going to be out for a little bit of time. Jared Stroud's the other one that I think we spoke about, and he is likely to be out this weekend. He's pushing very hard, and hopefully by next week I think he'll be back in the mix, but I think that's one to expect to be out. And then Peglo also is dealing with probably a week-to-week thing in which he may be available. That hasn't been determined yet. But one more time, we're not going to put anyone at risk this early in the year if we can get them fully healthy.
Coming into this year, big picture, team made a lot of moves, brought in a lot of players, but there's probably a perception out there because there wasn't that big multi-million-dollar signing.
Yeah.
The team didn't do enough. What is your answer to that, and how do you look at this new group coming in lieu of maybe a big hitter or two?
Yeah, what I would say is for those that have that perception, that's understandable. I think that's an understandable perspective to have in terms of you have someone like Christian Benteke. When you say that name, everyone in the room understands who that is. And so there's always a desire for every team to have those types of names in their team that are of that caliber and talent. We've signed some players that may not carry that type of name but are very talented themselves. And so they fit our game model, and we believe in them, and we hope that DC United is going to be a platform for them to take off in their career because many of these players are very young. Someone like Peglo is a good example of that. Jose Kajima. Kai Rolls has quite a well-known name in the game, and he's still young. He's only 25 as a center back. So we're hoping that some of these players, while they may not boast the names that other teams may have signed in the offseason, we've made moves that are within our structure, and we're excited about those. And we've seen their impact already in preseason about what they can do. So one more time, I understand that perspective, but I would just challenge that way of thinking.
Jake?
Yeah, Coach, ask Christian a little bit about preparing for match week 1 when you don't know too much about what the position's going to do, and he kind of mentioned the fact that it's more about focusing on what you guys can do.
Yeah.
Can you kind of back that statement, and is that kind of the approach when you come into the first week of the season?
Yeah, I mean, you heard that a lot from me last year in general. We try to focus on ourselves as much as possible, no matter if it's week 1 or the 34th match in the season. And, of course, we always have to take the opponent and what they do into consideration. For this week, it's the most challenging probably to get a lot of information on the opponent. So I think everyone at this stage is in a similar position throughout the league. You don't have a lot of information on the opponent. What you do have may be right, it may not be exactly right because the trends and the behaviors just aren't consistently there yet. And so as a result, you do want to focus on yourselves, and that's exactly what we're going to do, and probably do that for the first 6 to 8 weeks before getting too heavy into what the opponents are throwing at us.
How much more important is it to get off on the right note, knowing how last season ended and knowing that it might not look out on the outside that every match counts, but
Yeah.
when you see how it ends on decision day, how important is it to
I think you've said that really well, because last year 1 point is the difference between us being in the postseason or not. We tie on points and we lose out on goal differential. So the first match of the year, it's very important to get a result, and we want to not just a result, meaning a draw. We want to win at home. I mean, that's something that we did not fulfill enough last year, and this group is I've made room for them to be able to express themselves a lot more in preseason about where they see things. And one thing they want to have more of is an expectation to win, not just compete, and we were competitive last year, but we want to take a step forward this year.
Dave, Troy, you just mentioned it. I mean, this is a league of fine margins. 1 point can be the difference in everything. So then it's not just about what's going on the field, but it's about your leadership. We just heard from your captain.
Yeah.
Christian Benteke. Can you talk about the leadership? Do you have a vice captain?
Yeah. Yeah, we announced that today, Dave. So Christian Benteke will be the captain this year, as you mentioned, and he picked up last season as that main captain whenever Steve Birnbaum retired. And he's done a tremendous job of continuing to fulfill that role. And then we named Kai Rolls as the vice captain today. And those two guys are going to lead the charge for us as captain and vice captain, with a number of players behind them, as leaders as well. And Aaron Herrera, Lucas Bartlett, David Schnegg, Dominique Badji, Jared Stroud. There's a lot of guys that will also support that. And just because they don't have the title of a captain, they'll be expected to be leaders in the group as well.
A lot of work didn't just start with preseason. It started hours probably after the last season ended, getting ready for this night.
Yes.
What do you have a vision? What are you hoping? Maybe you had a vision when last season ended. I hope February 22nd looks like.
Yeah, it's similar to what I said about we were competitive last year, and we started to show ourselves in terms of the proof of concept was there. I've said things like that in the postseason and in the build up to this year about things that we did well, and we want to build on that. But we have to take a bigger step this year. I don't want to be around this position of 9, 10, 11, and just be in the mix. I'd like us to take a step forward this year, and this is again something the players have communicated quite clearly. We want to be a team that is well in the playoffs and trying to be more consistent and be about it all the time. Not just sometimes we look the part, sometimes we let ourselves down. We want to be about that all the time.
Coach, what can fans expect from the team both on and off the field this season?
Yeah, on the field, you're going to see a team that continues to display a high level of intensity when we play, aggressiveness. I think we went about that quite well last year. We caused chaos all over the field, but sometimes we didn't control that chaos very well. So I think that's a step that we want to take to eliminate the moments in the game that go against us when we can control the moment a little bit better. And I think off the field, we started to build community last year. I think you can start to feel that around the club. And that's a big deal for us, is to try to impact the community in the right way. Clearly, our job on the weekend is to deliver 3 points, but the days in between that, we want to go about our job and prepare to do the job on the weekend in the best way possible, but we also want to connect with this community and try to make an impact.
And what kind of relationship is there going to be on the field between Christian and Badji?
Yeah, I think there's times where those two guys are going to play together. I mean, they did that through preseason, and they can do that. As you saw last season, they did that a few times. There's also a time when one will start and one will come into the match, and so I think that's a good thing. That's a good thing to have as well, to have someone like Christian, if he doesn't start for whatever reason, having someone like Badji to be able to start and bring Christian on, or vice versa. Certainly, Christian is expected to start and has shown very well in preseason, scoring against Houston in this last preseason tune-up. And bringing Badji on when there's 15, 20 minutes left is very difficult for the opponent to handle. So they could play together, but they also could fill in for one another whenever we decide to go with a different system of play.
Troy, team's been struggling at home the last 3 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned in the past that you want that to improve. How have you emphasized that message, and what's the feedback you receive from players on improving play on at home specifically?
Again, it's something that's shared within our group about the desire to do that and the awareness that we have to improve that in order to achieve the ultimate goal, which is to be in the postseason and try to compete for a trophy, right? And so what we've talked about and discussed is how we modify whenever we're at home, what our schedule looks like. That's one thing that we're going to try to adjust a little bit this year. What our approach to that match day is in connection with the fans. This is something that, again, as we start to build that idea of community, there's some different ideas around that. But in general, though, whenever we have the opportunity to capture 3 points at home, and we were in the position of being in many leads last season. I can't speak for the seasons prior to my arrival, but last year we took the lead quite often at home, and we have to capitalize on that whenever we do so. So we've been training for that quite a bit this year.
Chris, you spoke about Christian already. He's your captain,
Yeah.
Golden Boot winner, and obviously played at the top level across the globe, really. How much confidence does that give you going into the new season?
Yeah, confidence is a big word, I think, for us in 2025, and that's that idea of expecting to win. When someone like Christian comes on the field in training every day, he expects to win. If he doesn't win, he's not happy, and that's part of the reason that makes him who he is. We want to have that idea permeate throughout the entire team, and we have to step on the field and have that type of confidence. Christian is someone that led the team in many ways last year beyond being a captain. Clearly, like you said, he scored a ton of goals last year, being the Golden Boot winner, was up for MVP, as he well should have been. This year, it's not necessarily about what's the expectation for Christian. Is it to expect him to score that amount of goals again? I get asked that question a lot. It's more of an expectation of how do we support Christian more. And this is something that, again, I think we have tried to answer through preseason with the personnel that we bring in, with the style of play. If we help add to what he provides, then this group becomes even more confident.
Just along those lines with Christian, he talked just about his commitment to this club. In other words, since he's been here, he's not had the success that he would like or all would like on a club level, yet he stayed very committed, and it seems to be even stronger as I watch him talk.
Yeah.
He talks like somebody that bleeds black and red.
Yeah.
To me, it's amazing for someone who just has been here for a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, I said something probably in this vein last year, but I probably would double down on it. Where, I mean, you can finish the book on Christian right now. You could finish it right now, and it would be a wonderful book and a wonderful legacy because he's done things in his career that a lot of players aspire to do, playing at Liverpool and other clubs that are big name clubs. He's competed for trophies and played at the highest level. He wants to win a trophy here, and he knows that the legacy of DC United is one that needs to be revived, and he wants to be a part of that. So that last chapter, if it's the last chapter in this book of Christian Benteke, if it's DC United bringing them back to the postseason, competing for trophies at this club, I think that he really feels passionate about that, and he's not done writing that book and writing that chapter.
Brian, we have some time for Zoom questions.
Perfect. Hey, Troy. We'll go to Donald Wine.
Thank you. Hey, Troy. Good to see you. Thanks for your time today. Couple quick questions. Last week, I asked about the goalkeepers, and you mentioned you have a better idea of your starting order closer to the match. Any update on who's going to start on Saturday?
Yeah, so June's going to start this weekend. June started in, I think it's 4 out of the 5 matches in preseason, and he's shown very well. Luis got his first 90 minutes against Nashville just prior to the end of preseason and showed well. There's going to be competition there. That doesn't change what I've said, but that's going to be the order for this weekend with Jordan Farr being the third.
And the next question I have is, one thing you guys did last year excellently was aerials, and I believe Benteke was far and away the best in the league. Jared Stroud was actually second, and you also had Birnbaum, who throughout his whole career excelled in that area of his game. Does that approach change with Birnbaum gone, Stroud out for this weekend, and who do you think is capable of stepping up with the ball in the air alongside Benteke?
You're talking about, aerial duels? I didn't hear the beginning.
Yeah, aerial.
Yeah, and in terms of aerial duels, I mean, Christian not only was the best in the league, he was the best in the world last year. So that's a skill set of his that will continue no matter what. Steve Birnbaum was someone that was dominant in the air, more on the defensive side, but sometimes the attacking set piece side. And I think we're on attacking set pieces. We were in a good way last year. We'll continue to take advantage of those moments and be organized to create different opportunities whenever that phase of play comes up. I think you're going to see our team evolve. We were so cross-heavy last year. We have to continue to look for that because, again, Christian's such a dangerous target whenever you get into those positions. But we also don't want to be as one-dimensional as that, and I think that's something that we look to evolve this year, and we need to evolve.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Next, we'll go to Neil Davidson. Neil, you there?
Yes, thank you. Neil Davidson from the Canadian Press. Coach, you've added a couple of players that Toronto fans are familiar with in Lucas McNaughton and Brandon Savania. I wonder if you could tell me how they're fitting in with the team and what you see in them.
Very well. Both players have come in and fit in seamlessly with what we're trying to do from a style of play standpoint, but also, I mean, I usually talk about this first from just a human standpoint. They're both first-class guys that understand the values that we, again, have doubled down on from year one to year two. We recruit players with our values in mind, and Lucas is someone that has a great personality. You probably know as well as anyone. He's a smart person that has a high IQ for the game, has a high social IQ, and he's going to add quite a bit to, again, making us more competitive at the center back position. And Brandon Cervania is someone that I've seen since I mentioned this in an earlier press conference about I played against him whenever I was at New Mexico United, and he scored a phenomenal goal whenever he was with FC Dallas against us in the Open Cup. But he's just a very smart player himself. Really, again, high character. Connects very well with the guys both on the field and off the field. And I think he's someone that, as we start to talk about controlling moments in a match and just calming things down, he has that naturally. And so I'm excited for both those guys to be with the club.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go to Diego Martinez.
Hey, Troy, good to speak with you again. I just have a quick question. You've touched around with the idea of not being as one-dimensional as last year. Christian was asked about a new play style being developed this season as of last season, and he said to be unpredictable. How would you be able to describe the balance between controlled chaos, being unpredictable, but also the consistency that you've been communicating with us, that you've been aiming to kind of get during the season?
Yeah, listen, we're like I talked about earlier, we're going to continue to be in our way in terms of trying to create chaos whenever we're against the ball. We want to make sure that we don't allow the opponent to feel comfortable, and then use that chaos in the right way to try to create opportunities on goal, which, again, we did quite well last year. We were one of the best in the league at creating opportunities and attacking transition. But then that moment comes when, the attacking transition moment isn't on, and you have to say, right, now we have to recycle, now we have to find our structure with the ball, and that's something that I think we've worked very hard on. It's by no means is it perfected. I think that we're starting to understand our roles and responsibilities more, but that idea of being unpredictable, clearly we want to know what our roles and responsibilities are internally, but make it unpredictable for the opponent in all phases.
And you said that it's constantly being fine-tuned. Do you expect it to be 100% by opening weekend? Do you have any timetable at all as to how quickly you want to develop it?
I mean, I think it would be crazy to ever say that something's going to be 100% in this game, or in any game for that matter. Of course, that's what we're striving for, but it's in constant evolution and improvement. I think we're going to have a much better idea, and you'll be able to see that if you watched us in preseason. You could see, okay, they're trying to go for something a little bit different in this area, and we're going to try to keep getting better at it, and it's going to continue to be fine-tuned throughout the entire season.
Thank you so much.
All right.
And lastly, we'll go to Alex Murphy.
Hey, Coach, how's it going? I just had two quick things about Jackson and how things have been going. I know it's a couple weeks since his surgery, but, over these last couple weeks, how do you feel like he's been? How do you feel like he's responded to everything so far?
First, from a mental standpoint, because I think it's really hard what he's been through. Last season, he has an injury that keeps him out in a period of time around May, June, July. Then he comes back, and then he has this ankle injury. And we thought that we had it in a good place from July, August to November, December, and that wasn't the case. And so once he started training, it just wasn't right. And to have the mental fortitude to persevere through that is not easy for a young kid. And I'm just really proud of how he's displayed so much resilience in trying to get healthy again. And then today, seeing him walk a little bit on the Alter G shows he's making a lot of progress. So hopefully we can move his timeline up as everyone from the medical side is working hard to do so. But also, again, not rush anything if he's not ready, because he's gonna be a big factor in this season.
Yeah, and then the second thing is, have you seen other guys kind of help him through this process? Because again, as you mentioned, the injuries have piled up over the last year or so. And you know, the mental side of it's definitely tough. So have you seen other guys try to help him out through the process of, you know, guys that have been through this before, and you know, just knowing that he's such a young guy and knowing how big he's going to be as a piece to this team?
Yeah, you'd be, I think, pleasantly surprised by just the camaraderie of this group and how close they are. So I think everyone, no matter if you have an injury like Jackson or you have something that maybe day to day that you're dealing with that isn't even an injury, maybe it's something off the field that you're dealing with a family issue, our group is very supportive, and they certainly have been in support of someone like Jackson through not only this season but last season as well. I can speak to that everyone wants to see him get back and healthy on the field.